Well, welcome back. Welcome back to the Extraordinary Drummer Show. As you know, I'm your host, Sharon Moore. You know, I always say today, today, today. Well, family, we got him on the show. This has to be probably the most popular guy in the business. I mean, he knows everybody. Everybody knows him. It's playing, forget about it. It's just he's the guy that gets the call. We'll talk about his credits here in a second. He's a producer. He's an endorser. He's a clinician. Um, he's a songwriter. He's a recording studio drummer. He's an MD. We got to talk about that. As I said, some of his credits: Snorky Puppy, the Manhattan Transfer, one of my favorite groups. I got some records by them. We'll talk about Ricky Minor a little bit later. Cody Simpson. We definitely got to talk about Will Smith. You all know this guy. Will you help me welcome to the Extraordinary Drummer Show, Greg Clark Jr. Come on in, brother.
What's going on? How are you? How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Welcome to the Extraordinary Drummer Show.
Good to be here. I'm happy to be a part of it, man. I'm happy. I'm
Yes,
honored. I'm
sir.
happy.
I'm going to jump around a little bit in my
Okay.
questioning, but I do want to start with those credits. You worked with J Lo.
Yes. I worked for J-Lo. It was fun. It was fun. It was easy. It was uh yeah, it was fun. It was really, really fun. I enjoyed it.
Will Smith.
Okay. Will Smith gig. That's interesting. So before I'm gonna do a short version of a long story. I did it. And then Will and his team liked the band, so we became the band. And yeah, and thus far it has been really, really fun. The gig has been extremely fun. Everybody's nice, everybody's cool, everybody's focused and ready to work, but it's been a fun environment. But again, it goes back to what we discussed a little earlier about, just cultivating and keeping and creating relationship.
Here's one that's a different kind of a twist. Ricky
Okay.
Minor.
And then this little short guy comes up behind me, taps me on my shoulder, and says, "Hey, man, you can play them drums." And I was like, "Thank you." And I turned around, it's Ricky Minor. So I'm like, "Hey, nice to meet you, yada yada." He's like, "Man, let's stay in touch, blah blah blah." Are you here? You in town?
Greg, let me ask you this one. Being a left-handed drummer,
Okay.
I tried that one time. I tried to sit on the left-hand kit. I could
Okay.
get the pocket hat, the hi hat, and the snare because that's that. But you can't switch feet, man. you
You
can't.
can't.
You can't. So tell me about that. Is it different learning certain kind of music because it's left-handed and now you're playing inside out or outside in and so forth?
Well, here's the thing. I'm one of the last, not one of the last, but I'm one of the last of the era of like not having YouTube and not having something where you can see it. Like you got to hear it to try to figure out your own interpretation of what it is and and kind of learn something or make it make sense that way. With that being said, a lot of times I've only watched right-handed drummers. There's a handful of left-handed drummers that I have seen, especially in the earlier days, because it just wasn't that much access to seeing them. I actually started off playing drums right hand, open handed. And one time I saw a left hand drummer play fully left handed. And I just sat back and I watched and I was just like, this makes perfect sense. And so I tried it and I was just like, this is it.
Before I get to some of these other things I want to talk about, let's go back to the beginning. You mentioned you're from Washington, D.C. You start
Yes.
playing drums at around the age of 4.
Yep.
Uh, did a lot of playing in church. You remember when
Yep.
you got your first drum kit?
My first drum kit, I think I was probably about 10, 10 or 11, somewhere in there. Uh, because I've been playing in church. I actually had my own snare drum before drum kit. Uh, but it's a musical family. My mom plays piano, dad plays flute. Grandma played piano. Granddad was a preacher. Aunts sing, sisters sing. Like everybody does something in the music space, especially at that time. But I was the only one that played drums. So I played drums at the church. I can get in the church anytime to play on the drums. So didn't really need my own drum set. I wanted one, but I didn't need it. But then when I got about 9 or 10, somewhere in there, my dad surprised me with a drum set, and I played that drum set. Um, it was I think it was a CB 700. That was my first drum set. 12, 13, 16. Um, with the old school kick drum legs that went that way out the bass drum. So it was like, you couldn't tell me nothing. You could not tell me a thing that my drum set wasn't the best drum set known to man.
What's up? This is Brian Fraser Moore coming to you speaking about my good friend Greg Clark. Amazing person, amazing drummer, talented, super gifted. Shout out East Coast to Greg. Much love to you, bro. You guys make sure you tune in, hear what he has to say. Incredible person, incredible experience. Shout out to my dude, Greg Clark.
Greg, let's talk in endorsements. Let's talk gear. What drums are you playing? Sticks, heads, so forth.
Okay. So the drums I play are Tama drums. I've been with them for about 3.5 years. With Zildjian cymbals and with Vader drumsticks, Evans drum heads, SE microphones, Roland electronics, and all clear in-ear monitors. Um, for the most part, the endorsements I've had for a very long time. I'm one of those guys where I like to get with a company and I like to stay there. If the product is good and everything is working, then that is what I like to do. And I'll be there until I can't be there no more. But
Greg, we do a thing on the show we call Word of Advice, where I ask the
okay,
guests, I ask the artists if they'll leave a parting word of advice for the up and coming drummers, the upcoming musicians that are trying to get traction in this game, traction in this industry, even the guys at the next level. Would you leave them a word of advice?
sure. The word of advice I would leave, and I'm going to say something that I would use for myself, and that I'm actively using. The word of advice is um, listen, and that sounds like such a simplistic word, but it's not. It's like listen to music. Listen to music, being aware of music prepares you for different situations. Listening to the OGs in the game who are doing it, who have done it, who probably have some advice about things, um, and they could help you. That could be a very big thing in terms of your career moving forward. Listen to your intuition. If something don't sound right, if something don't feel right, chances are it probably ain't right, and you might not want to do it with such a such a you might not want to do it with such a I got to do it just to get on, and it's like it turns out the situation is horrible. Like listen to that intuition you have in the back of your mind that says let me think about this, let me ask somebody. Being prepared, just being prepared for different situations. You just never know when something is going to pop up. And you need to be prepared, be consistent, be on time, be the part that you're supposed to be the music, all that good stuff. All these things sound so cliche and so everybody says it, but you would be amazed at how being on time, being consistent, knowing your stuff having good energy in the room could keep you working for years and years and years. Those things matter to the people who are hiring people. Being aware of those things at all times is, I promise you, it'll work. It'll work, and it'll work for you better than you think it would. Cultivating relationships. Keep strong relationships in this business. I promise you, your name will enter a room before you even walk in that room. It is up to you if people say good things about you or if they say bad things about you. It is up to you. Sometimes you're going to get the short end of the stick. You can't help that. But a lot of times, if you have a consistent track record of being good at what you do and being a nice person and being likable and being people want to be around you, that word will travel in the room way before you even get there. So by the time you get there, people are like, "Oh yeah, I heard about you. We heard good things about you, man. Looking forward to working with you." Blah blah blah. I mean, those things. If you apply those things, I guarantee, like it'll benefit you. Being a younger guy, even being an older guy. There's some older guys who just like, man, I don't know, man. Maybe it ain't working. I promise you, if you apply those same things, it'll make sense for you in some aspect of it. It will definitely make sense. So if I can give some advice, it would be those things.
Ask you this one, Greg. If you wasn't playing drums, what do you think you'd be doing?
Me, in my mind, I would probably be, and this is gonna sound funny because some people are not gonna believe it. I probably would be playing ball in some capacity. I would say NBA, but like that's so common. It's silly. But I've had access to a lot of situations that could lead me in that direction, especially when I was younger. From teachers to like all kind of stuff. And I could have really I used to be able I still play ball now, but I used to really could get it. I could really get it. And it's like I come from a family of, my grandma and granddad played ball, my mom played ball, my aunt played ball. So it's like basketball is in our blood. Like hardcore people from Carolina who played ball. So it's one of those things where I could have probably made that make sense. But again, you can't do both. You got to pick one. You got to pick one, and you got to focus in on it. Otherwise, you're gonna wear yourself thin. If it was possible to do both, I would have, but I couldn't. It was just something about music that pulled me a little closer, that made more sense to me than playing ball. But if I didn't play ball at all, I mean, if I didn't do music at all, it probably would be some sort of athletic thing in the basketball arena of somehow, I think.
I'm sure not too many people know that.
Not at all. The ones who know, they know, but the ones who don't, it's like they have no idea.
I recently read somewhere where you became a vegetarian.
Who?
Is that true? You became a vegetarian.
No, not at all. Both sides of my family can cook. So I enjoy eating food. Every now and again, just from a health perspective. And I think that's a whole nother thing that is overlooked in this musician industry is your health, being healthy. being aware of your body, listen to your body when it's time to go lay down or go sit down somewhere. Those things, watching what you eat. It's easy for us to eat bad because we play gigs. It's 9:30, it's 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, and we stop and get something that is completely unhealthy for us. So it's easy for us to do it. So just being mindful of that. Am I a vegetarian? Not at all. Do I eat vegetarian meals? Yes, I will eat vegetarian meals or just being aware of what I eat from time to time. But I 100% still enjoy a fried pork chop sandwich for sure. For sure. For sure. But no, I'm not a vegetarian. Not at all.
Uh, Greg, here's a question I usually ask the guests at the end of the show. And that
Okay.
question is, Greg, what do you want your legacy to be said, to be told?
Oh man, that's a good question. Um, wow, that's a good question. I want my legacy to be uh he's a great musician. He was a great musician. He did a lot of things, helped a lot of people, accomplished a lot of things, but he was an even better person. I think that kind of stuff, I think that kind of thing will live longer than whatever kind of accomplishment. Because there's guys we both know that have done some great things in music, but one of the biggest things that are remembered about them was were they a nice person or were they not a nice person? And it's it would be a bad thing if you did so much in music and even after death people couldn't stand to even think about you or to talk about you because you just wasn't a nice person. So I would like to be known or remembered as, you know, he did a phenomenal job. He was great at his craft, phenomenal at his craft, helped people, but he was a really, really great person above all of that.
I think they're going to say that. I think they're going to say a whole lot more. I wish I'd have paid him that $20 back, but whatever. I got away with it, but Greg, let me say thank you so very much for being on the Extraordinary Drummer Show.
Thank you for having me. I am very humbled by this huge ask, and I'm just grateful that you even wanted me to be a part. I really appreciate this.
Will you help us wave goodbye to other fans?
I sure will. Thank y'all for having me.
Yes, sir. Thank you again, man.
All righty, have a good one.
All righty.